The cabin that wasn't empty in Alaska, the wilderness, doesn't feel like nature. It feels like something ancient watching you breathe. The trees are too silent, and the snow hides everything. That's where my nightmare began, deep in the bush. I was part of a winter survey team near Fairbanks. Our job was simple: map the land and return before dark. But Alaska doesn't care about your plans or your maps. Out there, you are never truly in control. The storm came faster than anyone predicted. Snow fell like a white curtain, swallowing the world whole. Our radios turned to static, and the trail disappeared. By sunset, we were lost in endless freezing trees. We found a cabin just before night, completely closed in. Old wood, broken windows, and a door hanging slightly open. It looked abandoned, but it was our only shelter. So we stepped inside, praying it was empty. The air inside smelled of damp, rot, and cold ash. There was a fireplace, but the ashes were still warm. That was impossible, because no one should be living here. My partner whispered, "Someone was here today." We locked the door and lit a small lantern. The cabin walls were covered in deep scratch marks. Not animal marks. Human marks, like fingernails, like someone tried to claw their way out. I tried to laugh it off, but fear settled heavy. Alaska has stories, old ones, told by native elders. They say the bush holds spirits that mimic the lost, spirits that wear voices like masks. Around midnight, the wind stopped suddenly. Total silence, the kind that makes your ears hurt. Then we heard it. Footsteps outside in the snow, slow steps circling the cabin patiently. My partner grabbed his rifle and whispered, "Bear." But bears don't walk like that. Careful and measured. The footsteps stopped right outside the window beside me, and something scratched the glass gently. I held my breath as a shadow leaned closer. A face appeared, pale as snow, eyes too dark. Its mouth opened slightly, and it whispered my name, even though I never told it who I was. I stumbled back, knocking the lantern hard. The flame flickered, throwing moving shadows on the walls. Outside, the voice spoke again, softer, almost pleading. "Let me in. It's cold." My partner shouted, "Go away!" and fired a warning shot. The sound cracked through the wilderness like thunder, but the figure didn't run, didn't flinch, didn't move. It only smiled wider in the dark. Then the voice changed, becoming my partner's voice, perfectly identical, like an echo stolen from his throat. It said, "Open the door." "It's me." My partner froze, face draining of color, because he was standing right beside me. So whatever was outside was copying him. The scratching became knocking, slow and rhythmic. Knock, K-N-O-C-K. Like a heartbeat. Suddenly, the cabin door handle turned violently. The lock rattled as if something stronger than man pulled it. The walls creaked, and frost spread across the floor. The air inside grew colder than the snow outside. The knocking stopped, replaced by whispering everywhere. Not one voice. Dozens, layered like dead radio signals. They whispered names, prayers, cries for help. And then one voice said clearly, "We are inside." My lantern went out instantly, plunging us into black. In the darkness, I felt breath near my ear. Something unseen leaned close and whispered lovingly, "You shouldn't have come to the bush." The creature that followed our tracks in Alaska, the snow remembers every step you take. Your footprints become a trail that something can follow. Out in the bush, you are never truly hidden. That's what we learned on the third night. We were a hunting group near the Brooks Range. 4 men, rifles, supplies, and one small winter tent. The forest around us was endless and silent. Even the wind felt like it was holding back. That night, we heard something far away in the dark. A long howl, deep and wrong. Not a wolf. It sounded almost human, stretched into an animal's scream. My friend whispered, "That isn't normal." The next morning, we found tracks outside the tent. Large footprints pressed deep into the snow. Too big for a man, too narrow for a bear. And they circled us like a patient hunter. We followed our own trail back toward the river. The snow was thick, the trees like black spears. Then we noticed something that stopped our hearts. There were footprints behind ours, perfectly matching not besidiues, directly inside our tracks, like whatever followed wanted to stay unseen. Step 4. Step it walked, where we walked, copying us with impossible precision. We tried to joke, but nobody laughed. The woods felt heavier, darker, closer. Every time we stopped, the silence became louder, like something was listening for breath. By evening, we reached an abandoned ranger shack. Old wood, broken roof, frozen door half. We didn't want to stay, but night was coming fast. So we went inside, locking it behind us. The shack smelled like old blood and wet fur. Scratches covered the walls, deeper than any knife. On the floor, we found a journal, pages torn. Only one sentence was readable. It learned my voice. That night, the storm arrived with brutal force. Snow slammed against the shack like fists. The world outside vanished into white darkness. And then we heard footsteps on the roof. Slow steps, heavy weight pressing down above us. Snow fell from the ceiling with each movement. My friend raised his rifle, shaking uncontrollably. No animal should have been able to climb like that. The footsteps stopped directly over our heads. Then came a sound that froze our blood. Scratching, long nails dragging across the roof. Like something searching for a way inside, we held our breath, listening to the storm. Then a voice called out from outside the shack. It was my friend Daniel's voice, clear as day. Guys, open up. I'm lost out here. Every one of us turned slowly toward Daniel. He was sitting beside us, pale and silent. His lips trembled as he whispered, "That's not me." The voice outside repeated, "Please, I'm freezing." The door handle began to shake violently. The lock rattled like it would snap any second. Then the voice changed, becoming my own voice. "Open the door. It's safe. Let me in." My stomach twisted as terror filled the room. Whatever was outside could copy anyone perfectly. It wasn't just following our tracks. It was learning us, and it wanted inside, where it was warm. The scratching moved from the roof to the walls, like something crawling down slowly, patiently. Then it stopped right behind the door. Silence so deep it felt like death. Suddenly, 3 knocks came softly. K-N-O-C-K. 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 Gentle and polite. Then the voice whispered through the wood, "We walked with you all day." My friend began crying quietly. Unable to stop. The storm outside screamed louder, as if hiding the truth. Then the whisper became the most terrifying sentence. "We are already close enough to breathe you." The lantern flickered, shadows twisting unnaturally. In the corner of the shack, something moved without shape, not fully seen, but felt like a presence crawling. And the journal page fluttered open by itself. On the last page, written in frozen ink, it said, "Don't follow the tracks home, because the creature doesn't need to chase you. It only needs you to lead it back. Alaska is beautiful from far away, but deep inside the bush, beauty becomes a trap. The snow hides roads, the trees hide screams, and the woods do not like visitors leaving." I was a solo pilot delivering supplies to a remote village. The flight was routine, just endless white wilderness below. But near sunset, my engine began coughing violently, and I crashed deep into untouched forest. When he woke up, everything was silent and frozen. My radio was broken. My leg was bleeding badly. The plane was half buried in snow like a grave, and night was already crawling closer. I found an emergency flare kit and a compass. The nearest settlement was 20 miles away. In Alaska, 20 miles is not distance, it's death. Still, I began walking because staying meant freezing. The first night, I built a fire under thick pine trees. The flames were weak, trembling against the cold. The darkness beyond the firelight felt endless, and I could swear something watched from it. At midnight, I heard footsteps crunching in snow, slow steps, careful, circling just beyond the fire. I shouted, "Hello, is someone there?" The footsteps stopped instantly. Then a voice answered softly from the dark. It sounded like an old man, tired and lost. "Help, please. I'm freezing out here." My chest tightened with cautious hope. I grabbed my flashlight and pointed it outward. The beam cut through snowflakes like knives. But there was nobody standing there at all. Only trees, and endless black. I tried to ignore it, and stayed near the fire. But the voice returned again, closer this time. "Please, don't leave me alone." It sounded almost like my own father. My blood ran cold because my father was dead. I whispered, "That's impossible." The darkness seemed to breathe in response, and something chuckled softly beyond the trees. The next morning, I followed my compass north. Hours passed, yet the landscape never changed. Every tree looked identical, every hill the same. It felt like walking inside a repeating nightmare. By afternoon, I saw something impossible ahead. A piece of wreckage from my plane. My stomach dropped because I was walking in circles. The woods had brought me back. Panic rose like fire in my throat. I screamed, "No, I'm going the right way." But the forest only answered with silence, a silence that felt amused. That night, I heard it again. Footsteps. This time they were closer, heavier, multiple. Not one thing, but several moving together. Crunch, crunch, slow and patient. I hid behind a fallen log, barely breathing. The moonlight revealed tall shadows between the trees. They were not human shapes, too thin, too stretched, and their heads tilted like curious animals. One of them spoke in a perfect copy of my voice. "Come out. It's safe. You're almost home." My entire body shook violently in terror. Whatever they were, they had learned me. The shadows began walking around my hiding place. Their movements were wrong, gliding more than stepping. Then one stopped inches from the log, and I smelled wet earth and decay. A whisper slid through the air like ice. "You can't leave Alaska once it knows you." My eyes filled with tears as I covered my mouth. The whisper continued, "You belong to the bush now." I tried to run, crashing through snow blindly. Branches tore at my skin like claws. Behind me, footsteps followed without rushing. They didn't need speed. They had patience. Suddenly, I burst into a clearing and froze. In the center stood a cabin, warm light glowing inside. Hope stabbed through my fear like a desperate knife. I ran toward it, screaming for help. I threw open the cabin door and stumbled inside. The room was empty, dusty, abandoned for years. But the fireplace was burning with fresh flames, and a table was set for one person. On the table sat a note, written neatly. It contained only one sentence that shattered my soul. "Welcome back. We've been waiting." My breath stopped completely. The door slammed shut behind me by itself. The fire roared higher as shadows filled the corners. Then the voices whispered together in the dark. No one survives the Alaskan bush alone. The last thing I heard was my own voice calling softly. "Help, please. I'm freezing out here." And I realized the woods would use me next, to lure the next lost traveler into the snow.